This is the all-new 2023 Toyota Crown, and the Crown badge is really new in the United States, but it's been around in Japan since 1955. And in today's video, I kind of want to go through this car and get an understanding of what it is, because Toyota claims that it's their new luxury sedan, but from where I'm standing, it looks a little bit more like a crossover. In any event, we'll go through the exterior design, go through the interior, talk about some of the different specs for the different trims, and then at the end of the video, I'll kind of summarize my final thoughts on this new car crossover thing. I'll start by talking about some of the different specs associated with the different trims. As of right now, the Crown comes in 3 different trims: the XLE, which is really the base model, the Limited, and the Platinum, which is this car over here. And the powertrains and specs do vary based on the trims. Both the XLE and the Limited come with a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder with hybrid power, producing 236 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 is done with in 7.6 seconds, and it does 42 miles to the gallon city, 41 on the highway. Now, the XLE and the Limited both come with a CVT transmission. None of that is the case for the Platinum. The Platinum has its own engine. It's a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with what they call hybrid max power, 340 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds, but the fuel economy takes a pretty substantial hit. It goes down to 29 miles to the gallon city and 32 on the highway. That's not bad, I guess, but when you consider that it's a hybrid car, it's a little bit disappointing. I would have expected more. I should also note that the Platinum has a traditional 6-speed automatic transmission, but all of the trims from the XLE all the way up to the Platinum have all-wheel drive as standard, which is nice. Now I want to touch on the exterior styling of this car because there's quite a few talking points that I want to touch on. First off, I do think it's a good-looking car from the front. From the back, me personally, it's going to take some getting used to. One thing that really upsets me is that the front grille, which is a really nice big front grille, something very similar to what you'll see on modern Lexuses, is fake on this car. It serves no actual function. It's really just there for aesthetics. And I always get a little bit annoyed when you get things on a car that are purely aesthetic that otherwise should serve a function. But, you know, it is what it is. Front of the car, as I said, looks very good. Problem is that right around here, it looks like the chief designer was let go for some different reasons. Maybe he was having some trouble at home and couldn't focus at work. So they had to hire an entirely new designer, or at least that's what it looks like, because the back of this car doesn't quite match the front of this car. Kind of looks really, really good, and then around here it just sort of starts looking different, and then they sort of just gave up right around here, and you end up with an entirely different car. Size-wise, this car is very similar to a brand new Camry. It is a slightly longer car on the outside, it's slightly taller. It's got 5.8 inches of ground clearance, which really just goes back to my point that this feels more like a crossover than a sedan. I wouldn't take that ground clearance as meaning it has much off-road capability. I think it really just makes the car a little bit easier to get in and out of. On the inside though, it's really not that different from a Camry size-wise. It's the only real difference that I could find was that it has slightly more legroom in the back, but other than that, it's really just the same size as a Camry. Back to the exterior design, you notice these wheels, beautiful 21-inch wheels. They come standard on the Platinum. They're an optional extra for the Limited. And that's a good point for me to mention. There's not that many options on the Crown for pretty much any trim. The XLE has no optional packages. You buy an XLE, that's what it is. You just pick your color and that's about it. With the Limited, you can get one package which changes the wheels to these 21s, otherwise they're 19s like on the XLE. And then you also get the fixed panoramic roof as well. And with the Platinum, the only optional extra is for the exterior, and it's a bi-tone package, and that gives it a nice 2-tone paint job. But other than that, everything on these cars is standard, and I kind of like that. It's kind of a nice change of pace from some of the other cars that I've been reviewing, where it feels like everything is an optional extra and almost nothing is included with the car. I do want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the rear end of this car because there's a few things that I need to mention. First and foremost, it has this really nice, long, continuous rear taillight, and I like that because it looks like RoboCop, and who doesn't want to be in RoboCop? In a car that looks like RoboCop. That's something that I see on a lot of modern cars. I do like the overall design direction that the car industry is taking. That's great, but the rear trunk, it looks to me like it's one nice, long, continuous panel, and that leads me to believe that, much like an SUV or a crossover, this is a rear hatch. Now, there are some benefits to a rear hatch. First of all, getting things in and out of it is easier. And also if you have a pet, if you have a dog, a cat, a giraffe, an elephant maybe, you can have them in the trunk space, but they're still in the cabin of the car so they can enjoy the air conditioning and the music with the rest of the family. But if you push this button, which they have cleverly integrated into the bodywork, you'll notice that it's just a normal trunk. It's not a hatch, which means you can't use it as a hatch. It's got plenty of cargo space, don't get me wrong, and that's great, but it doesn't have the same versatility and usability as a hatch, and that's disappointing because they made it look like it was a hatch. Now, to the keen viewer, you may have noticed something. I'll explain. Let me just close this up. Because when I push this button, the trunk doesn't open. In order to open the trunk, you have to use these things called arms, and I have two of them here to demonstrate. That's how you open the trunk. Toyota is marketing this as a luxury sedan. I don't remember the last time I was in a luxury car where I had to use my arms to open anything. And also there's no buttons here. There's nothing to push to close it, which means now I have to take my arms out again to be able to close it. That's not luxurious. On to the subject of the interior. For the XLE, it's cloth seats. This, of course, being the Platinum. Platinum and Limited have leather seats. You've got leather on the center console, leather on the door panel, steering wheel is wrapped in leather, and it all feels very nice. Other positives, it's got this really cool gold bronzish trim that's sprinkled throughout the car, and I really like that. I feel like it gives it a much more premium feel. But other than that, I don't know, I'm gonna start having some issues with this car. First of all, there's quite a lot of plastic on the door panels, there's some around the center console, and it's not thick, robust feeling plastic. It feels kind of cheap, especially on the door panel. It flexes quite a lot. Also, the door handle just kind of feels like the door handle from every other Toyota, which is not a bad thing, but again, this car is being marketed as a really premium luxury car. Platinums do come with a panoramic roof as standard, but again, another issue, it's not a full panoramic. There's this pillar in the middle, and as you can hear, kind of feels like a cheap plastic there as well. As far as features are concerned, this is very well equipped. Just like with the exterior, the interior has pretty much everything as standard. So you've got heated and cooled seats. It's only heated seats, I believe, for the XLE because, again, it's just cloth. You've got active cruise control, lane departure assist, plenty of Toyota safety features. You've got 2 USB-C ports here in the front. In the rear, you've got 2 more. There's a wireless charging pad. Also, it's got a 360 camera, which is pretty cool, actually very handy. And with the Platinum, you've got several driving modes. You actually have 6 to be exact. You've got Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport S Plus, and Custom. Climate control buttons are all conventional buttons. I've said many times on this channel that I do not like touchscreen or haptic feedback buttons when it comes to my climate control. I like old school conventional buttons, so that's a positive there. And they feel very robust, not something that you really have to worry about having issues with. The touchscreen is touchscreen, which is great. And that little gold feature is actually on the volume knob, which I didn't notice before. So that's a nice little feature as well. Overall, the interior on this car is really nice. I like that it's got the same kind of design on the Lexus where the center console opens on both ends, but it's still not quite as premium as a Lexus because you still have that little plastic here and there. And like these climate control buttons, I said, they're very robust, but they're made of plastic, whereas in a Lexus, they have more of an aluminum metallic feel. So everything is just a little bit less premium than you would expect from a Lexus. All that being said, I want to take this out for a quick drive and get some first impressions of what this car is really like on the road. I think that Toyota's approach for marketing this car as being like the perfect balance between a luxury sedan and sportiness and all of that, I think that was a mistake. I think if they would have marketed this car as purely a luxurious, comfortable cruiser, I think that would have been more accurate and would have made more sense, because when I am driving this car, it is really nice. The seats are very comfortable, and I believe that the suspension on the Platinum trim is slightly different, and it absorbs the bumps a lot better. I have nothing to complain about as far as the ride quality is concerned. I get it, there's some plastic on the inside that I was mentioning earlier, but the places your hands are leather. And I'm about to go over a railroad crossing, which normally would dislodge my spine. I didn't even feel anything. It just felt like I was driving over normal roads. It's got plenty of power, 340, it's fine, but it's not enough power to be considered a fast car in my mind, or at least it doesn't feel like a fast car. But that could just be my fault, because I need to recalibrate my brain. For those of you that have watched any of my videos on my channel, this is not normally the kind of car that I review. So a fast car to me is a really fast car. I have to think about this more as an everyday car. And is it fast as an everyday car? I think so. 5.7 seconds is pretty fast. And if I pop it down into Sport S Plus mode, power delivery is pretty quick. Paddles are a little sluggish, to be honest. The number will change on the dashboard, but you don't actually feel the transmission changing for a second or so. But again, it's not a sports car. This is supposed to be more of a luxury car, and it has enough power to be comfortable and luxurious. What else do you need? This car, I think, belongs in comfort mode or eco mode. I don't really see a reason to ever switch it into Sport S or Sport S Plus, because if I'm buying a car like this, what do I need? I don't need those modes. I don't need to be in sport mode. I just want to be comfortable. I want to enjoy my drive. And with this car, it's pretty easy to do that because it is very nice. Not unlike, I would say, the driving experience that you could expect from a Lexus. Okay, now I've come to the part of the video that I really need to address something, and that is, I don't fully understand this car. Actually, I don't really understand this car at all, and I'll explain what I mean. The base model of the Crown, the XLE, with cloth seats, is $39,950. That's the starting price for this car. And I don't understand why it's so expensive, because if you think about it, this is a Camry-sized car. Why not just get a Toyota Camry XLE hybrid? I mean, that's gonna do better on gas, it's about the same size, and it's $7 grand cheaper than this. Not only that, it comes with leather seats. If you want leather on this, you've got to bump up to the Limited, and if you do bump up to the Limited, now you're gonna spend $45,000. $45,000 makes it $2,000 more than a Lexus NX 350 hybrid, which is the same size, again, right around the same fuel economy, all-wheel drive still, but it's a Lexus, so it's a much more premium feeling car. It's a much better looking car, in my opinion. Bump up to this, the Platinum, and you're gonna spend $53,000. And at 53 grand, that's just too much money, okay? $53,000 puts you above the Lexus RX lineup. And the RX is a much bigger car, and it's a much nicer car, and again, it's from Lexus. And when you go for the Platinum, you're really sacrificing that fuel economy that made this car slightly worth it. So it really just, I don't know, I'm struggling to find a way to make this car make sense to buy. If you're looking for a Toyota and you want something that's robust and it's got some ground clearance and good on gas and some decent space and some versatility and usability, I don't understand why you would buy even a base model Crown instead of going for a fully loaded RAV4 hybrid, which costs the same as a base model Crown. So that's what I'm saying. It's a nice car, but for the price, it's really difficult for me to justify ever buying one. So I guess in summary, I'm saying, I don't think I would ever buy a car like this. And I think Toyota really messed up, because bringing the Crown to the United States is great. You know, I know they've had it in Japan for a very long time. It's nice for us to have it here as well. But what market are they trying to fill? Because between Toyota and Lexus, they've pretty much got every market filled up. So I don't really know where this Crown slots into. And for that reason, it's really hard for me to say that you should take the Crown over some other option, which for the most part would be cheaper and maybe even better. But that's really all I have for this video, and I hate to end it on that kind of pessimistic, negative note, but I just want to be honest about my review of this car. I feel like that's really important, and I want to say a huge thank you to Toyota of Riverside for loaning me the Crown to be able to do this video for you guys. So I will leave a link in the description below to their website and social media. Please do go check them out if you're in the market for a Toyota. Otherwise, leave me a comment below with your thoughts on the Crown and the video. Do you agree with me, or do you feel like I've just been talking rubbish for the entire video? Let us know down below. Also, like and subscribe to show your support. I wanted to note that I actually broke the 1,000 subscriber mark, so I'm super excited about that. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been supporting the channel by subscribing, and also everybody that's been watching the videos to begin with. It's very much appreciated. But until the next video, I'll see you then. Take care.